what I read or I understand.
Meher Baba Ki Jai. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's get started. Mamaji, why don't you read the seven realities this morning?
Yes, existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Hey, so welcome to session number 7. Continuing on the manifesting book by Bhau. And we start with the section or the chapter called the period of preparation. I think let's just quickly see what we covered in the last section. So, in the last chapter, yeah, links of love. Yeah. So, if you remember last time, it was how he uses links of love to connect to three types of souls. And eventually, of course, every soul is connected through him, but a few work more directly with him, and a few work indirectly. And of course, but his link of love touches everything in creation, right? That's what we learned in the last chapter. So, with that, let's go how he prepares for the Advent, the period of preparation. So this is all to do with manifestation. So we will see now. Tar Meher Baba teacher. The period of preparation. The heart is the seat of the mind. It is the deepest part of the mind, and the heart is where the functions of the mind take rest. Now I have to pause here, right?
Yes,
He's
yes, yes,
saying,
yes, yes. Yeah.
right? Till now, we heard from Baba that heart is different, mind is different, heart dominates, mind dominates, but we have to finally allow the heart to prevail, so on. Now, Bhau is saying, heart is the seat of the mind. It is the deepest part of the mind, and the heart is where the functions of the mind take rest. So, the last phrase seems to suggest that when mind stops, heart takes over, or something to that effect, where the heart starts, uh, uh, f- um, the, when the mind stops functioning, takes rest, then the heart starts functioning, maybe, right? But let's hold our horses. But any quick comments, and then we'll come back to the statement later on if it's not clarified.
Jay
Yeah.
Baba,
Yeah.
the look, the self, like the white movie screen, is always there, present, irrespective of whether the mind is working or not. Because the capital self is in everything. What is happening is the mind is basically what? It's a part of evolution. It's a repository of all the sanskaras. So in this whole game, what we are doing is we are dissolving sanskaras. When sanskaras become zero, it becomes the no mind state, nirvana. So then the diamond actually shines. So the diamond is rough because of sanskaras. So the pure diamond can be looked upon as the heart, which is always existing. So this whole clash between mind and heart is because of sanskaras. So once the mind becomes pure, because the heart is always pure. It's only the mind which is impure because of sanskaras. And once it gets dissolved, then there is only the heart, and you reveal your own original self. It's like a self discovery. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Baba.
I was trying to go a little deeper with the specific literal meanings that are being mentioned here, which, as I said, let's come back to if it's not clarified in greater detail. Ravi, quick comments.
Yeah. So I have never heard this sentence anywhere before, but it's like when you read all the other scriptures, when Baba talks about mind and heart and all these things, it's the only mind that matters. Because what is heart? It's just a blood pumping machine, right? What is heart? Everybody has a heart. And why are we using the same word? Then people started saying is the spiritual heart, and this is the physical heart, all these differences. But actually, the mind is the only subtle part of the physical body that matters in spiritual world. So from this, can you go back to that?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
So here, mind can be divided into two parts. One is the superficial part. That's where all the sanskaras fly around. And underneath these sanskaras, there lies the capital soul, just observing what's going on with the sanskaras, himself going through experiences of all these desires of sanskaras. So comment.
Yeah.
J- Jeva,
Specific drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Ashok.
yeah. Uh, it says the heart is the seat of the mind. And when we uh, study the seven planes, so there's a mental plane, and so, and there's nothing like a heart plane. So, uh, can we correlate that
Yeah,
in the mental
yeah,
plane lies the heart?
yeah,
So I think
yes.
let's peel the onion a little more. Maybe this this this
No,
no.
No, good point,
So
Ashok. Ashok brought up a
physiologically,
good point.
this is just a
yes,
question
yes,
that came to my mind. We can
yeah.
address it
I'm
later.
trying to address. I'm trying to address Ashok's point only. So firstly, let's understand that physiologically there is a heart, the heart which pumps blood, right? The physical organ.
Mm,
The mind is not a physical organ to start with, right? Brain is a physical organ, not the mind. So the mind is always something that is the seat of learning. Even if you take conventional science, forget Baba, forget discourses, forget everything else. What is mind? Mind is the seat of learning, cognition, whatever, associated with the physical organ brain. But still, there is a distinction as to what mind is, right? Now, when we come to Baba's teachings, mind at least what I have learned and gathered, I will just summarize. Mind is the repository of sanskaras. And like Raviji said, like Ashok said, mind is going to be there uh, till the end, till the state of nirvana, because you cannot do away with it, right? And only with the locus of the mind, with the pole or the you need, when you're climbing a hill, you need a stick or a, what do you call that, the walking stick, yeah, stick. So that stick, that reference point, who is thinking when you're saying you're going through the plains, who is going through the plains? That reference point is enabled by the mind. Actually, you are already one with the eternal, but that that eternal peace, that small soul needs, is going through the seven planes, and that locus is protected and sustained by the mind. Okay, again, mind, not brain, not heart. Okay, what Bhau saying here is the heart is the seat of the mind. So anyway, as I said, let's come back to this first line at the end of this chapter if we don't get clarity, so that we don't have to relearn or, right? One
Yeah,
second.
fair point.
Yeah. Okay.
See,
So
Jay
let's just,
Baba, there is a, if you have read Ramana Maharishi, there is a physical heart we know, which is part of the material body. There is something called the spiritual heart, which is on the right side, which is actually the real self. So when people actually raise their hands and put it on their heart, it is the spiritual heart on the right side. So that is something you want to look into. So
interesting.
yeah, Jay Baba.
That's interesting. Okay, I
See,
put
I
my
think
heart
Ashok
to
brought
the,
up a Ashok brought up a very important point here for us to understand. So this is gross body and the energy body, the subtle body, and the mental body. So by the time the pilgrim goes into fifth plane, almost all the sanskaras are gone. Very few are left. They're left with the thoughts and the feelings. Thoughts are experienced in the fifth plane, and feelings are expressed in the sixth plane. So there's no heart plane there. That makes complete sense for that. And then from
yeah, yeah.
sixth plane, next up is this seventh plane, Jebel.
Yes. Okay, so let's just keep reading, and then we'll come back to this without fail. Bhau continues. The powerhouse is a symbol for the total manifestation. Each one of us has a bulb, a heart, and because of the work of the avatar, action and reaction are taking place in every individual mind. Thereby, a cleaning process is happening in each heart. If one's heart is very clean, the bulb is powerful and bright. But if it is filthy, the bulb is weak and dim. Individual effort is also required to cleanse the heart so the light in the bulb shines powerful and bright. This individual effort is the preparing of the bulb. Okay,
Jay
so
Baba,
the,
I have a
yeah,
comment here. I think it should not be the heart. It should be the word should be the mind. So maybe it's a symbolic thing, but I think it's a wrong misinterpretation here. It should be instead of the heart, it should be the mind. That's my interpretation.
I tend to agree. It's a bit confusing here. Each one of us has
Because
a
the
bulb, a
heart, look,
heart.
the heart is always pure. The physical heart or the mental, the pure, the physical heart or the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart is an analogy for the realized self. The physical heart, which is basically due to breathing, the blood flows. It has no ego, there is no duality out there. The heart just pumps blood. Okay. It's all about the mind. So I think this confusion about having this pure heart and impure, it's actually the impure mind which needs to become pure, which is basically no sanskaras. The heart is always pure. It's just doing its job, Jai Baba.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think with all this explanation, it's better we stop and continue reading and then come back once again.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, yeah, the powerhouse is only a symbol of the total manifestation. The result of the universal work of the avatar signifies pulling the main switch of the powerhouse on. Each individual's cable is already connected with the powerhouse during the physical presence of the avatar. The bulb is being prepared in each individual, and since the hearts of most people are filthy, the cleansing process is going on. People are becoming prepared. When the avatar turns on the main switch, each bulb will have its light according to its capacity. This will be the time for his big L light to shine as his total manifestation. Avatar Meher Baba is gradually manifesting, and we will undergo a period of preparation until we are ready to experience his total manifestation. So, though it starts with a provocative first line, the concept of heart as being the seat of the mind and all of that is not taken up to be delineated. The only delineation is restricted to extension of the powerhouse and bulb analogy, which we encountered about 3 chapters before, where infinite intelligence, God, beyond the beyond, is represented as the powerhouse. And during the process of manifestation, all these lights are prepared, and these bulbs, I mean, these bulbs are prepared and according to their capacity, readied for illumination by the powerhouse, right? So that uh, is what is extended as an analogy. Having said that, now let's go back and uh, quickly find out where each one of us stand. We don't have to agree or disagree. Okay, we just have to understand
Right.
how what is being said here and have our interpretations and commentary. I
Uh,
I will start with my comment first. I think I would like to not get deeply involved into what heart is the seat of the mind. I would like to leave my cognition and my understanding to the point of heart is heart has to finally dominate. Mind is the a seat of sanskaras. Mind continues till such time that you go to God realization and all the other stuff Ravi said, feelings, thoughts in the planes, and then finally you go to nirvana state, right? So I am not going to get into being too worried about where the mind is going to be actually there and so on and so forth, right? And the second paragraph, I agree with Kama. It should be mind. Anyway, that's my personal opinion. Now I open it up for everybody to come in. Mamaji, you first.
uh, if you say juxtapose the second paragraph with the first line of the whole process here, the heart is the seat of the mind. So the powerhouse heart is a part of mind itself.
Correct.
That's what he is saying. So the
Correct.
dirty things are the sansaras and other things which are in the mind. They are cleansed, and only the heart remains, and mind is vanished out of existence. So even though mind, as we know that intellectual progress is required for any inquiry. So that doesn't mean intellectual inquiry is the ultimate. There is something beyond that. That beyond is the heart. So that way, he says heart is already in the mind. Our heart is the seat of the mind. And then that heart, which is because it is in the mind, is covered with so much of filth by way of samsara. It is getting rid of all that. Maybe Bau's idea is like that.
Yeah,
That gives
and that
some
that
sort of
adds
a
up. Yeah, that adds up and is congruent with our understanding. It's just a new way of looking at things and a new way of expression, right? So I agree with that. I think that's a very nice way of looking at it. Very beautiful. Now all the knives are drawn. Everybody ready to go?
No,
Others,
I would also be careful in coming to any conclusions. Hey, this is wrong. That's not right. Because we have to understand that Baba gave all these points to Bauji. And very often he used to, when he writes some notes, he used to correct it. But later on also, if you understand how Bauji wrote all these things, it was Baba who was writing through Bauji. He would just take the pen, sit on the accountant table with a 0 watt bulb and starts writing, and his mind stops. His pen writes continuously, thought after the thought, thought after the thought. What makes that happen is only for an elevated person, Baba, who is qualified. Baba takes over and he writes through them. That's how we have to understand. So if I would wait for some time for my maturity to understand. Otherwise, we can find faults with Baba too. Baba himself wrote infinite intelligence as a spelling was wrong, it seems. Oh, Baba.
yes, there were, yeah, there were things. Yeah, it's covered in the uh, editorial section, right?
What Parks was
And
telling this.
yeah. So there can be questions for some people. Yeah, I agree with what you said, Ravi. But I'll just say that in my mind, there are two classes, very clear classes of bodies of knowledge. One body of knowledge is what has been confirmed and authorship is credited to Baba. That's sacrosanct. That's literal.
Yeah.
That's we can interpret, we can have whatever, but that's sacrosanct. That's one level. That's the highest of the highest actual authorship. It's most
Yeah, I'll
superior
tell you,
form. Yeah, it's the most
yeah,
superior
I'll
form
give you
of
one more.
written. Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
I I started reading this Infinite Intelligence very slowly, repeatedly reading each paragraph 2, 3 times so that I could fathom what Baba is trying to say. And at one time, I used to believe, oh, thinking is all mind stuff. I should not even go that side thinking. I should only show my interest in my love part, love part, love part. But you know what the Infinite Intelligence says? The thinking of the mind, which I is experience, that is the consciousness. That happens, the progress in the consciousness happens only when I, in combination of mind, thinks. When there is no thinking, it is in latent state. When it is thinking, it is progressing. What you think, that's the question. Are you thinking about the creation world or are you thinking about the self? That makes a big change in your journey. But the thinking is connected with the motion, movement of the consciousness, and that plays a major role. That's what I understood in the first 2 chapters I read in the Infinite Intelligence. Jai Baba.
Anybody else? Any comments, or we can go to the next chapter?
Jai Baba, Karthik. But uh, uh, mind, heart. To put it very simply, it's basically the function of the sanskaras on where
Oh,
we reach.
the sanskaras are there, Ashok. But are you thinking about sanskaras or are you thinking about the perfect master?
Correct.
If we are thinking our ultimate goal is the perfect master, but I'm saying that whether it's the mind in the heart or heart in the mind is a interpretation. ultimately it's the function of the sanskaras which prevails. Is
Mm.
what I'm trying to simplify it from for myself. That's all.
Mm. Sure. I mean, any other comments before we
Mm,
No,
can?
Yeah,
only
Jai
thing is,
Baba, I think, yes, I think what Ashok was saying is that it's all great. You focus on the perfect master, but you have to do the job. He's not going to do it for you. I mean, he will help you. Like as Baba said, I can only give you inner strength, in the sense that it's good. But the point here is that in the end, all knowledge is ignorance. You have to drop all that and ultimately go into silence. See, words are knowledge is basically a combination of different words, okay, and how we interpret it. And how we interpret it is also going to be based on sanskaras. And with all due respect to Bhau Kalchuri, yes, he was the scribe, but in Lord Meher, I don't want to go into it, but one comment was like, he came up with this thing that Baba spoke before he dropped his body, and there was a very controversial thing about it. But of course, that doesn't matter whether Baba spoke or not. So, what I feel is that we should not take everything because, as Karthik said, the only thing that matters is Baba's words and how we are obedient to his words. The rest is all interpretation. So, we have to be careful not getting married to anybody who's interpreting, whether it's infinite intelligence or whatever. For us, as far as we are concerned, we have to keep it very simple and easy to understand, and then of course practice it. That's the ultimate sign of where we are progressing. Jai Baba.
So very, very nicely said. And I'll extend that with one small comment. So it's so sacrosanct that what anything other than what Baba said is many levels below. Let's remember that. So it can be anybody. It can be me talking. It can be Ward Parks. It can be Peter Nordin. It can be Mandali. All that is still not the same. And you're free to listen and read all those experiences with the firm knowledge that this is not Baba's word. And you're free to make your interpretations. There's nothing wrong. But we have to have the respect and the clarity that one is way superior and the other is human. See, one is perfection, one is human, right? So we have to, that I think that's my personal take, and I that's very similar to what Kama say. Very, very similar. I'd like to stick there. Okay, let's get to the next chapter then. Right, period of preparation, lost in darkness. Ashok ji, you want to read?
Okay,
Yeah, please.
lost in darkness. When you are lost, you look for guidance. When you are in darkness, you look for light. In this manner, Avatar creates a situation in the world that each one feels lost in dark. The sun, sorry, each one feels lost in darkness, looking for a guiding light. The light is the divine free impressions from the sun of his being. In this manner, the avatar maintains a proper relationship between his shadow, the creation, and his reality, the infinite.
Okay, quiz question. The phrase divine free impressions.
yes.
What does that remind you? What is that actually? Anybody?
No, this is the first time we are coming across.
No, no, it's not. It's not. It's not the first time. That's why I said quiz question. So, divine free impressions are a phrase that Bhau has used for Yoga Yoga Sanskaras. And I'll show you the reference. Yeah, there it is. So
Uh-huh.
divine free impressions is a new phrase, and
No,
I
it
love it.
is
It's
no. Here it is referred to as divine
freeing,
freeing impression.
freeing impressions. But
So
down
that is
in
you
further
are getting
paragraphs,
out of impression, but it is here. It is stated that it is divine impression.
no, no, no. So he uses divine free impressions multiple places in this
Yeah.
chapter, and I actually love it. It's a nice. So what is yoga sanskara? It's a type of
Yes.
sanskaras, okay.
Yes.
But then divine, it's it's divine. That's a the deserving adjective for yoga sanskara. Second, free. Why? Because it's not non-binding, so that's why it's free. And impressions. And when you add freeing, it also is referring to not just the fact that it's non-binding on the avatar or the whole of the spiritual hierarchy, but also helps in unbinding others' impressions. So it's a very beautiful phrase. So that's what I was asking, saying, what is divine freeing impressions?
Ac-
So,
Actually, it's a new expression. I read it
yeah,
before,
it's a
but
new
completely
expression.
forgot.
Yeah. Mhm.
But it looks like it is similar to reverse impressions
Ulat, Ulat
in
Sanskaras,
Ullad,
infinite
Ullad,
intelligence.
ULAD, Ullad
Yeah,
Sanskaras.
Ulat
Yeah, tell me,
Sanskaras.
what
No, I
is
don't think
Ullad?
I
Is
don't
it
think that.
Sanskrit or Urdu?
No, I don't think this is Ulat. And if you go back to the recording, and I'll send you that link for that particular reading, you'll understand that he's only talking about yoga. And in fact, that reading is very beautiful, Ravi. I don't think you were there. This was maybe 3 weeks back.
Yeah,
We also went and did a cross reference where we went to discourses and read yoga sanskaras just side by side, literally, right?
yeah,
So we understood the operation of yoga, Vigyani, and all our sanskaras in
yeah,
one of the best clarifying
yeah,
sessions, at least for me personally.
yeah.
So I'll send you that link. I
Yeah,
don't
that'd be
think this is
great.
Ola. Yeah, I don't think this is Ola. Okay.
See, why I'm
So,
saying Ullad Sanskaras is uh, Yogayak Sanskaras clears our Sanskaras, and they are same as divine free impressions. Ullad Sanskaras also free our
correct,
Sanskaras
correct.
because it gives us an experience. When we go through the experience, it acts like a opposite Sanskaras that clears our binding part of it. That's why I brought up that my mind. I thought about that. Ullad
Yeah,
Sanskaras.
yeah. So
Ullad Sanskaras is
Ulat sanskaras
reverse.
are freeing sanskaras, but
Mhm.
non-divine freeing sanskaras. Then I agree with you. So Ulat
So
sanskaras are
non-divine,
basically yeah.
it is given by
So
perfect master. Ullad Sanskaras are given by perfect master.
correct. Yeah. Then it matches perfectly. Yeah. I think I will
Uh-huh.
also go back and refer to Ulat in infinite intelligence recordings. I
Yeah.
actually opened it. Well, that's a good point. Then if it is Ulat is actually given by perfect master, and it absolutely
Also
does what you
in
said, which is it undoes sanskaras.
actually,
So
it is
it
written
frees you.
even in discourses also, Karthik, that perfect master gives reverse sanskaras. They never said about Ullad Sanskaras in discourses, but
In
reverse
discourses, it's
sanskaras
reversed.
are
Yeah.
used, I think. I
Oh,
don't
is
know
it?
where,
Okay.
but sorry. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let's that's it. That's the section. So the
You can
section
read it
is
once again.
lost in. Yeah, why don't you read it again, Ashok?
Sorry.
No, we can
So the
repeat
section
this.
itself is this. So you want to just quickly read it again?
Yeah, I'll read it again. When you are lost, you look for guidance. When you are in darkness, you look for light. In this manner, the avatar creates such a situation in the world that each one feels lost in darkness, looking for a guiding light. The light is the divine free impressions from the sun of his being. In this manner, the avatar maintains a proper relationship between his shadow, the creation, and his reality, the infinite.
So, do you want to summarize what this says? It's basically using the concept of darkness to help us discover the magnificence of the light. And this came in an earlier paragraph as well. The appreciation of light is only when you are used to darkness. To how would you define light? Is only when you have the experience of non-light or darkness. So that's what we encountered in earlier chapters here. Okay, so let's
That's correct.
continue.
But there is another way of looking at it in a very simplistic manner. That is, if the entire universe is a Venn diagram, then you have two parts, duality and reality. So, reality is what brings us to the wisdom, light, knowledge, and the darkness is in duality because you're engulfed with a mirage or a movie, which we have discussed earlier. So, I mean, you're uh, like a small child who is just involved in this world of eating the lollipop, if I may say. A lollipop means these worldly desires, um, materiality. So I would say that duality and reality, that chart which is there in God Speaks, is relevant here. And what was said in
Which one are you referring to?
what I read just now, Lost in Darkness.
Yeah, yeah. Which chart?
There is a chart of reality, duality.
This one.
Uh, Yeah, correct, correct,
Okay, so
correct.
it's not a Venn diagram. So that's when you said Venn
No, no,
diagram, I
I
was
said,
going to have a follow-up
no,
question.
no, it's not a
So
Venn diagram.
duality
I
is, yeah,
explained
duality is inside reality. As long as that is the case, I am okay. Otherwise,
Sorry.
Venn diagram, no. See, when you say Venn diagram, your mind automatically thinks there's duality circle and reality circle. If that is the case, the duality circle should be inside the reality circle. Agreed?
Yeah, okay, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I'm
No,
just
that's
saying that
why I wanted to clarify. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you're a visual and mathematical person, so
maybe
that's what you got reminded.
it might be my way of looking at it, which may be not correct, but just
No,
to
no, no. Each one has their own way of interpreting and understanding. That's all. So yeah, all
yes,
ideas welcome.
yes.
Okay, so let's get
Uh,
back.
I have a small point
It-
here.
there is another
Sure.
chart with the duality and reality. I don't have it right now, but anyway, I'll come back to you on that.
You are referring to, I think, everything and the nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not in God Speaks.
Yeah, yeah. There
That's
is a
again a very beautiful. Yeah, that's a very
yeah.
beautiful
You referred to it earlier.
temporary nothings. Yeah, temporary nothings and uh, the big nothing.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
bring it up maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
Mamaji, as your
Ah,
you can make your comment. Yeah, please.
Should I
divine,
continue? Or?
No, no, no. He's making a comment. Just one second.
divine free impressions or divine freeing impressions. Okay, we are always given ideas, new ideas. So those who are not with Baba, they don't have the ideas which come from Baba. So we have come here and then we have been given so much of impression from Baba by his life stories, by his messages. And we repeatedly read his messages and each time they give an impression on us. So this cleanses our bad impressions and then this sticks to us. That's also one way we can think of. And these are divine and they are freeing from the old bad impression. So that may be the purport he is trying to put in there. Jai
Correct.
Baba.
Is this
Jayatma,
what you were saying? Is this what you were saying, Ashok?
Correct, correct.
Yes. So the key point is what is on the right. The everything in the blue dotted line is actually inside original real nothing. So there's only one big circle. Inside that, there is original real nothing. So it's just a blow up. It's a blow up using this triangle to bring it out. But there's no two circles. There's two circles. One, it's got two. I mean, one circle is inside another circle. That's all. Kama, over to you.
Yeah, yeah, Jay Baba, just to extrapolate what Ashok was saying, see, this is a good chart, the Venn diagram. So when you read God Speaks, the 10 states of God, if you remember the state one of God and state two of God, which are basically alike, one is aspectless, state one of God, and state two of God, which is Paramatma, is with aspect. They are similar, and it was also mentioned only the state two of God can be probably verbalized even by the perfect masters. But the most original state of God, it can only be experienced. I mean, nothing, it can't be expressed. And the third thing we also know from those two state one of God and state two of God descriptions, that even the consciousness, infinite unconsciousness, it's all part of the original real nothing. So technically, when you're talking about reality and duality, as we know from the chapter on Maya, that Maya is the shadow of reality. Where you are is the shadow, right? But that's only in the waking state. Only when you wake up, then you see your shadow. When you're asleep, and a sleep state is almost like the original, real everything kind of state, which can't be described. Nobody can describe what is the bliss state, when you're in sound sleep state. So my point here is that basically, when Ashok is talking about the Venn diagram, so within the Venn diagram is this original, real nothing, which has the infinite consciousness, and the opposite of it, which is the infinite unconsciousness. That is my interpretation. So please feel to comment on that, Jay Baba.
I think that's a correct. I agree with your interpretation. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the next section. Force of the will. Any other readers? Ravi, you want to read?
I can read
Okay.
for some time.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. The force of the whim. In the infinite ocean of God, there exists innumerable drops, and as the ocean has the whim to know who am I, each drop therefore has that same whim because the ocean is indivisible. Each drop in the ocean is not a drop at all, but the ocean itself. The whim is the infinite ocean, and therefore the whim is the infinite ocean, and therefore it must manifest an infinite number of times, and it is manifesting. Therefore, the process of creation is continuous and it will never end because the whim of the infinite ocean must manifest an infinite number of times. Each drop in creation is not a drop, but ocean. And because ocean is indivisible, each drop force is oceanic. Each drop in creation has the oceanic whim within itself. Because of the force of the whim, the entire process of evolution and involution takes place in creation. Because this whim is the whim of the reality, the infinite ocean. When the whim begins to activate, the shadow of the reality, illusion, starts giving false answers to the original question of reality, who am I? And unless the whim attains the real answer to the question, who am I? The drop goes on passing through the 7 stages of evolution and involution created by every shadow of reality, the illusion. The reality is infinite, and so also its shadow. Each drop, therefore, must ask itself the question, who am I? But an infinite number of times, and its shadow must reply with false answers an infinite number of times. Because of this infinite number of questions and the infinite number of false answers, there is no chance for any drop to know itself as ocean. Because of this infinite number of questions and the infinite number of false answers, there is no chance for any drop to know itself as the ocean, as the ocean. Thus steps in the thus steps in the avatar, and according to divine law, the avatar works for the universe and he gives a push to every stage of consciousness in creation. It is by his push that he makes it possible for drops to get the real answer to the question, who am I? Only by understanding what this push is can the work of the avatar be understood. His push is the chance each of us gets. We do not have a chance, yet he makes possible the impossible. But to make the impossible possible, he must come age after age and work for each of us. In other words, every advent, each of us gets a push directly from him, and this push enables us to have a chance to realize him. The avatar in this manner gives force to swim within each drop. That force which was awakened, which was weakened because of the force of illusion. But when the whim within the drop receives the renewed force of reality, the drop again stirs with devotion. Thus, the entire process of evolution and involution attains the right direction. Through the avatar's effort, each drop gets a push, and when the evolution and involution are again moving in the right direction, it is the culmination of the avatar's work. This is his manifestation on earth. Manifestation means right direction for the evolution of the universe and awakening of mankind towards realization of reality. Manifestation is that time when reality rules over the illusion. The forces of illusion become feeble and the voice of reality becomes powerful. During the manifestation, mankind starts paying heed to the voice of reality and the attraction of illusion becomes empty. It's a very poetic way of uh, telling things about avatarhood and manifestation of an avatar.
Yes. And I think it starts with the multiplicity of the question, right? So the question is in every draft,
Yes,
and the answer is wrong answers all the time. And the avatar's role is to push each soul, each drop's question towards the right answer, towards, not to that, to the right answer directly, but towards the right answer in whatever stage it is to the next stage, right? So you go closer to understanding big R reality, and that is an unconscious, involuntary support system that the avatar is providing to equally to every soul in creation. Right? That's how I would summarize what we read here. But very nice explanation.
yes,
Okay, so let's continue.
There's one more comment, if I may, and that is that the grace of the perfect master is highlighted or it's amplified.
Yes, it's avatar. It's avatar, and during an avataric advent. And yes, it's amplified. Yes.
Hey, the grace of the avatar. Oh, no.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, Ravi, you were saying something? Maybe not. Okay. Let's go on to the next one.
Yes,
Yoga Yoga Sanskaras. Okay, very good. Mama, do you want to continue for this one?
yes, yes, yes.
Please.
Yoga samskaras are released through universal mind. A virus can penetrate through thick stone walls, and a virus can travel at the speed of 3 miles per second or 10,800 miles per hour. A virus germ is 1,000 times thicker than any samskara, and therefore it is not impossible for the samskaras to penetrate through rocks and stones. But this example of speed and fineness of sanskaric matter that has only to do with the physical matter and the physical body. To understand the release of yoga samskara and how one's own sanskaric nature receives these sanskaras of the avatar, one must understand the nature of the universal mind. The universal mind is infinite, indivisible, and eternal. Indivisible and eternal. It is the mind of the first soul who is one with all souls. Therefore, all animate and inanimate beings in creation have within each of them the same universal mind. The universal mind is the shadow of the limited mind of infinite consciousness. The universal mind,
Infinite mind. Yeah,
yes,
please
sir.
repeat.
The universal mind is the shadow of the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness. Every individual mind is therefore the shadow of the universal mind. And when the avatar releases his yoga samskara, every individual mind is affected. The releasing of the divine free impression means that the divine free impressions of his universal work have been activated. And because of this activation in the universal mind, action and reaction take place in the mind of each individual being, whether animate or inanimate. The greatest action and reaction is in the human mind because the human mind is fully developed mind. Nevertheless, though the mind is not very developed in the in inanimate forms of evolution, it is there. Though the mind is not very developed in the inanimate forms of evolution, it is still there. Okay. And so when the avatar releases his yoga samskara, even a stone or rock is affected because these sanskaras penetrate to that state of mind. The avatar's universal mind is filled with yoga samskaras, just as our minds are filled with gross sanskaras. Our gross sanskaras limit our minds, but the avatar's yoga sanskara do not limit his mind. They are the substance of universal mind. It is these samskaras that make an individual function universally. The avatar uses some of his yoga samskara during his lifetime of work, and the rest he releases at the time of dropping his physical body. The yoga sanskara are always ready to be released by the avatar during his physical lifetime, and he does release some to some individuals. But because of the density of gross consciousness in the universe, it is not possible to release all of them during his physical incarnation. Therefore, he works to release them, and he does this by bringing about situations for each being at every level of consciousness in such a way that each being is prepared to receive its share of these divine free impressions. And these beings, all of us, receive our share after the avatar has dropped the body. We must not look in the air or the sun or even Mehrabad to see where and how the divine free impressions are released. They are released through and from the universal mind. They are released through and from the universal mind. But the universal mind is beyond imagination, and so you cannot see how you receive them. A tiny pinpoint becomes gross since it is seen by your gross eyes. This pinpoint is not even subtle, and therefore the point of the universal mind where the divine free impressions are released cannot be seen because it cannot be imagined. And because this pinpoint in universal mind is beyond imagination, it is everywhere. And because everywhere divine free impressions are being released, everyone and everything in the universal mind is being activated. And because everyone and everything is being activated, actions and reactions are taking place in everyone and everything.
Right. So that's that.
Any impressions on this?
You have to read
Impressions.
the whole thing again.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
a very powerful chapter.
yes. So
Yeah, for
how
sure.
they
We
give us
can.
information. Yes, someone else can read. Maybe that style of reading can also make a difference.
Okay, I will read. I'll
Yes,
read this again. But yes, it's worthy of reading. But things to watch out for is he's actually describing the accessibility and availability of the sanskaras. He's also mentioning that not all of them are released when Avatar is in form. And he's also mentioning how it is going to be available universally to all of creation. So let's watch out and understand more when we reread this. Yoga sanskaras are released through universal mind. A virus can penetrate through thick stone walls, and a virus can travel at the speed of 3 miles per second or 10,800 miles per hour. A virus germ is 1,000 times thicker than any sanskara, and therefore it is not impossible for the sanskaras to penetrate through rocks or stones. But this example of speed and fineness of sanskaric matter has only to do with physical matter and the physical body. To understand the release of yoga sanskaras and how one's sanskaric nature receives these sanskaras of the avatar, one must understand the nature of the universal mind. The universal mind is infinite, indivisible, and eternal. It is the mind of the first soul who is one with all souls. Therefore, all animate and inanimate beings in creation have within each of them the same universal mind. The universal mind is the shadow of the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness. Every individual mind is therefore the shadow of the universal mind. I'll read this paragraph again slowly. Universal mind is infinite, indivisible, and eternal. It is the mind of the first soul who is one with all souls. Therefore, all animate and inanimate beings in creation have within each of them the same universal mind. The universal mind is the shadow of the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness. Every individual mind is therefore The
This
shadow.
particular sentence, the universal mind is the shadow of the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness, needs some clarity or understanding, especially for me. Is it the beyond state and the universal mind of the first soul is the next stage?
Yes. So
Jai Baba,
this
the
infinite
infinite
consciousness.
consciousness
Yeah. Go
is
ahead.
Paramatma. Yeah, go ahead. Now,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
infinite consciousness is Paramatma. So basically, Paramatma, when he's manifesting, as an avatar, it's the universal mind. All the perfect masters, they have the universal mind. So the shadow of that is what is being. I'm sorry, I'm not able to articulate that. Go ahead, Karthik.
No, so I think Mamaji said it perfectly, right? So it's the infinite consciousness. The shadow of the infinite consciousness is the universal mind, which is infinite. And from that universal mind, there is a shadow in every uh, mind of creation. And how makes a point? Mind is very less developed, but it's there even in the stone. So everyone, every drop soul has a shadow of infinite intelligence. So that's what the next line that we're going to read will explain. Every
Okay.
individual mind
Correct.
is therefore the shadow of the universal mind. And when the avatar releases his yoga sanskaras, every individual mind is affected. Affected
Just one
because
second,
we
Karthik.
are,
One second,
yeah,
Karthik.
please,
So,
Ravi.
Mamaji,
Go ahead.
you got that idea?
No, because karma is always used to uh, make things clear by stating the state of the God states, different states. So the unconscious bar conscious, unexplainable state is the number one. That is my understanding is that is the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness. Next is the Paramatma level where he is manifest as the first soul which got the realization. So from then onwards, we have all the other souls trying to achieve that level. So because of that, I
Let me
thought,
let me take a shot. See if you can. Let me add to what Karthik and Kama said. Okay, let's say you are there, right? Right now, you have eye consciousness, limited consciousness. That means your consciousness is focused on the sanskaras, and you think you are the body and the mind, right? Now, Baba gave you God realization. What happened to sanskaras? They're all gone, washed away. What happened to I? I is transmuted into universal consciousness. Universal consciousness means you have universal mind. Universal mind is you experience the shadow of every living being. Like Ravi, you think of Ravi and you experience as Ravi, as Kama, and as Karthik simultaneously. You have the ability to think, become one with all three of us, and experience whatever we are individually experiencing. That's what he's saying, the shadow of it. I'm thinking of shadow. So once you become God realized, to experience that shadow through me simultaneously as well as with Kama and Karthik. Maybe that will help you think.
yes, yes, to an extent. Okay.
Jai Baba, what I wanted to emphasize was this is the first time that I came across this sentence. The universal mind is the shadow of the infinite consciousness.
Yes,
And it
that's true.
makes a lot of sense because the mind itself is Maya, right? And we also know consciousness, again, going back to the first two stages of God, that all of this is part of the real nothing. So the universal mind itself is the shadow of the infinite consciousness was something that I, was very interesting to me. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. I think Ravi explained it very well. Jai Baba.
I think I just want to got some idea, Kama. Is Mamaji only when you're in physical body, only when you are in this creation world with the experience of God experience, that you have this feeling of experiencing shadow of every being, individual shadow. But once you leave the body, it's just a cloth, right? You have no importance to that. You want to become one with, you want to go home. The home is the universal consciousness. That is the beyond state of God. Once you go there, you don't even think about any of this Kartik, Ravi, Kama. It does never happen. Nothing is happening.
Yes,
It
yes,
just God is. That's it. Jai
yes,
Baba.
yes. Okay.
Very revealing, very clear, and let's continue. So I'll repeat that last line.
Yeah,
The universal mind is the shadow of the infinite mind of the infinite consciousness. Every individual mind is therefore the shadow of the universal mind. And when the avatar releases his yoga sanskaras, every individual mind is affected. The releasing of the divine free impressions means that the divine free impressions of his universal work have been activated. And because of this activation in the universal mind, action and reaction take place in the mind of each individual being, whether animate or inanimate. The greatest action and reaction is in the human mind because the human mind is fully developed mind. Nevertheless, though the mind is not very developed in the inanimate forms of evolution, it is there. And so, when the avatar releases his yoga sanskaras, even a stone or rock is affected because these sanskaras penetrate to that state of mind. The avatar's universal mind is filled with yoga sanskaras, just as our minds are filled with gross sanskaras. Our gross sanskaras limit our minds, but the avatar's yoga sanskaras do not limit his mind. They are the substance of universal mind, and it is these sanskaras that make an individual function universally. The avatar uses some of his yoga sanskaras during his lifetime of work, and the rest he releases at the time of dropping his physical body. The yoga sanskaras are always ready to be released by the avatar during his physical lifetime, and he does release some to some individuals. But because of the density of gross consciousness in the universe, it is not possible to release all of them during his physical incarnation. Therefore, he works to release them, and he does this by bringing about situations for each being at every level of consciousness in such a way that each being is prepared to receive its share of these divine free impressions. And these beings, all of us, receive our share after the avatar has dropped a body.
Jai Baba,
So,
I just want to make a comment here that this reminds me of Baba's last few years after the Great Savas 1962 to 1969. If you remember, he was doing a lot of inner work. There was a lot of solitude, silence.
seclusion,
And then around in 1968, he said, my work is finally
is
completed.
complete. Yes.
Yes. So just wanted to make that comment, Jai Baba.
yeah.
So the intensity increased, and then at whatever time he said, done to my satisfaction, and I am done with my work. Yeah. Okay. So where do we get these divine free impressions? I continue. We must not look in the air or the sun or even to Mehrabad to see where and how the divine free impressions are released. They are released through and from the universal mind, but the universal mind is beyond imagination. So you cannot see how you receive them. A tiny pinpoint becomes gross since it is seen by your gross eyes. This pinpoint is not even subtle, and therefore the point of the universal mind where the divine free impressions are released cannot be seen because it cannot be imagined. And because this pinpoint in universal mind is beyond imagination, it is everywhere. And because everywhere divine free impressions are being released, everyone and everything in the universal mind is being activated. And because everyone and everything is being activated, actions and reactions are taking place in everyone and everything. So the individual souls have been exposed to divine freeing impressions. And thanks to that exposure, there is a process of action and reaction that each individual mind is facing. There is no need to take any special effort to go anywhere or look at anywhere or do anything. This part of the divine freeing impressions reaching you is happening at, like he gave that analogy of virus, right? It's much more subtler than a virus and hence can penetrate and travel fast, penetrate through anything and travel faster than 108,000 miles per hour. So it can be faster than that. So it can get to you, or rather, it has got to you already, and actions and reactions are happening. That's what the avatar's advent has done.
Yeah, Baba, just to extrapolate what you just said, can you just go to the last line? So, and because everyone and everything is being activated, actions and reactions are taking place in everyone and everything. So, can I just make a joke and say artificial intelligence is just creating havoc now? Jai Baba.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
that? Is it the
Because
avataric
I think
influence?
without the avataric presence, there is no
Uh,
internet. There is no all this. Baba was using the signboard, his slate
uh,
to communicate,
yes.
which we are doing now with our iPad. And now artificial intelligence is taking over. But we already have the book called Infinite Intelligence. So hey,
Mhm.
we are ahead of the game. Jai Baba.
Ahead of the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, still struggling with AI and AGI and so on and so forth. But Baba nailed it by calling it infinite intelligence. Over. Finished. It's more than a lighter note. I think it's absolutely factual. We live in complex times, but the complexity is much more profound and clearer and established very clearly by the avatar and his advent. And he has only activated all of these. So, yes. Thank you, Baba. And I was going to say, the activation is probably a result, or the result of that activation is probably even this call, right? The fact that all of us take this effort to get on this call in the morning on what's obviously an off day for all of us and a quiet day for relaxation tells you that something has been activated by Baba and something we are reacting by saying, okay, this is what I want to do because I want to get closer to God. And we are making this investment of time. So that's what I was reminded when I read this line. And that's why I'd like to use the name in for our group as Meher Baba Awakens. awakens because it is present and continuous. It's continuing. Today, I am awoken. I'm awakened to something. Tomorrow, somebody else is awakened to something. But Baba is doing that in a present and continuous way. And that's what I wanted to bring out in the title by using that extra letter,
Yeah.
awakens. Right? Yeah. So awakener, yeah, that's noun. Awakens, verb. It's happening. And it's happening within and for all of us. Right?
No, not only all of us, as the say meaning of what we read now, there is an undercurrent of unknown people are also every aspect of creation is influenced by the avatar. Whether the
Yes.
uh, parts involved in creation realize that or not, they are all influenced by the avatar's uh, consciousness penetrating. And those who have realized that are maybe progressing further slightly faster than others. But on the undercurrent, as Kama was giving examples of AI or other things, it is happening. Uh,
Yeah.
Even though we don't know who does that, it is happening. So that is the every avatar rekindled the whole creation into this awakening every time, and this awakening gets realized or crystallized to an extent. And when it is not sufficient enough for the future, he will come back. 700 years, 1400 years, he will come back and rekindle further. And that is the process which happens.
Correct. Perfect. So I keep thinking of just the simple mathematical number of people who are asking the question, "Who am I?" Right. So if you just look around you, when I was in school and college, I think the numbers were much lesser. When I'm saying who am I, I'm just saying anybody who wants to get into spirituality and who's making investment of time and effort in trying to understand the true nature of reality. I'm not even talking about Baba. I'm just talking in general.
Yes.
Obviously, the numbers are significantly higher than ever, right? And that's Baba's work, and that's this. It's the divine fear. Being. Yeah. Okay, beautiful session, beautiful chapter. If this is a small one, we can pick it up. So, the next section is infinite knowledge in the avatar's work. God is infinite knowledge, and infinite knowledge is the source of infinite consciousness. Consciousness is not conscious without knowledge. And so, out of the infinite consciousness comes the infinite knowledge that knows everything. I repeat, God is infinite knowledge, and infinite knowledge is the source of infinite consciousness. Consciousness is not conscious without knowledge. And so, out of the infinite consciousness comes the infinite knowledge that knows everything. This infinite knowledge does not have to think about anything to know what it knows. Infinite knowledge simply knows. It knows now what happened millions and billions of years ago, and it knows what will happen after millions and billions of years. It therefore knows the past history of each individual from stone to human level, and it knows its future from human consciousness to the infinite state of God realization. The avatar is this infinite knowledge. It was in the beginning of creation when he realized his real state that he became conscious of his infinite knowledge. When infinite knowledge uses its knowledge it becomes infinite intelligence, since intelligence is the use of knowledge. During the avatar's realization, he took the responsibility of the whole creation. And though he became infinitely free, he allowed himself to become bound by the responsibility of making each one free from the bondage of illusion, ignorance. Having attained infinite knowledge, he knew in the beginning that he had to do free each one in creation.
What he had to.
There is a typo. What he had to do, okay, thank you. Having attained infinite knowledge, he knew in the beginning what he had to do to free each one in creation. And he knows this every time he comes into creation to work. To share in this responsibility, the avatar has created 5 divine offices held by perfect masters. In these offices are contained the divine plans for the whole of creation. It is the avatar alone who appoints separate duties to each perfect master, and each perfect master remains responsible for these duties until the end of his life. But it is the avatar alone who remains responsible for all the functionings within the 5 offices, and it is he alone who is responsible for making the plans. When the first one realized his infinite knowledge, his knowledge formulated a divine plan. And according to this plan, he himself must take human form and come down on earth to work out his plan. It is by this working out of this plan that he fulfills the responsibility for the whole creation. The plan is that he himself must work sufficiently up to the time when he himself must come back in a new advent. It is during this period of 700 to 1400 years between advents that he allows the 5 perfect masters, sorry, to know and to fulfill his plan. So the avatar prepares his plan, outlines it, puts details into it, and colors it in such a way that every being has a part in his plan. After preparing this plan, the avatar drops his body, and according to his plan already worked out, the details become clear and start taking shape, manifesting. The specific details of Meher Baba's plan are now manifesting, and they are starting to reveal their shape and scope. The hidden details of his work are taking a clearer shape because the work is already planned, and the time when all the details are most clearly seen will be when the plan is in full action and reaction. The time when the details are crystal clear is the time when the manifestation is felt the most. It is when we know the details of his plan for each of us that we will receive the knowledge that he has planned for us to understand. Okay, very beautiful. So
Yes,
infinite knowledge is what he receives in his journey to God realization as the first soul to get to God realization. After getting to God realization as the first soul, he using this aspect of infinite knowledge, he writes a plan, and the plan is very detailed. And he and that in as a part of that plan is his necessity for Advent. And during each Advent again, he creates a plan which he puts in the safe hands of the 5 perfect masters to manage, and execute till it's time for him to come again. Right. So we know
And
most
as
of this, and I
and
think
and
Bhau
as
has
they
explained it very, very clearly and beautifully. Yes, Robert.
as far as the individual souls are concerned, the last sentence is important. You can read that.
Yeah, sure. The time, I'll read the last two lines, in fact. The time when the details are crystal clear is the time when the manifestation is felt the most. It is when we know the details of his plan for each of us that we will receive the knowledge that he has planned for us to understand. So, has that time been reached for
It,
each one of us? It's for you to think. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
Jai Baba, yeah, I think what is interesting out here is the divine script.
Yeah,
So he's almost like a director who comes every 700 to 1400 years, and the director also becomes the actor, okay, and he becomes one of us. And then each time, between the two advents, the five perfect masters are managing the movie, the divine script. So, what is interesting to me here is that if we go back to the most original whim, where there was no avatar, correct?
Yeah.
So, from that, you are now have a subset. So, the so called existence, infinity, truth, what we call as the Paratpar Parabrahma state, has a whim. And that whim, he imagines this whole divine script where the avatar is the first being who becomes God realized. And then he starts making out a script because he's definitely the manifestation of the Paramatma or Paratpar Parabrahma state. And then we are all acting in this movie. So I think if we all look at it, look at our existence as actors, like I call it the gap theory, a gladiator, actor, player, a gladiator fighting his own demons of lust, greed, and anger, which is part of his ego. And the actor player is right now we are all in this reality show discussing the script and what is our role, Jai Baba.
yeah.
Yeah.
The only difference is we are actors that don't know that we are actors. We think we are real. Yeah,
That is
so
the
we are
that
acting
is
out a
the
script. That's the
yes,
process.
that
Yeah,
is the most important unreality of all things.
yeah. The beggar and the king, the Vedantic analogy. The beggar and the king, right? Beautiful. I think it was a wonderful session this morning. Thank you, Baba, and thank you, all of you. And may you all have a great week ahead. And let's catch up next Saturday, as always, for Salna 2 and reading Manifesting on Sunday. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Jai Baba,
Thank you,
Jai
everybody.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, everybody.